sister to make her kids food at my house during our Christmas party. I come from a broken home, so we have our Christmas with mom's side the first weekend of December. I hosted, usually my sister and I switch off host duties. My sister has two daughters who are incredibly picky eaters at 18 and 15 years old. My sister would come to family parties with a box of pasta and a bag of frozen chicken tenders that she will make for her daughters. I want to know if I'm an asshole for what I did here. I knew that is her drill with them, but I've always found it to be very annoying, especially when I'm trying to cook and she's taking up space making the pasta and chicken tenders. This year I told my wife we will not be letting my sister in the kitchen this year, and the girls will have the choice of eating what I prepared or not eating. My sister accused me of being a cynic and getting joy from watching the girls be uncomfortable. I told her they are old enough to eat like adults. Also, the food I make is pretty standard. I do a filet roast, barbecue ribs, cheesy potatoes, stuffed artichoke, breaded cauliflower, ratatouille, and a salad. Certainly some of these must be foods that an 18 and 15-year-old should be able to eat. Well, the girls sat and ate bread and butter while telling me that my food looked gross. I looked to my sister to calm them down, but they told me I deserved this and it's not their fault for being picky eaters. I know I could have just let my sister do her thing, but it was the principle of the situation. I'm not sure if I was being a petty asshole or if I had a legitimate reason to be upset. Edit. There are no medical conditions or food allergies. Edit. I made it clear to my sister in advance that I would not be allowing this. She decided not to listen. Edit 3. I did not anticipate this blow up. I am willing to compromise. If the girls really won't try new things, my sister can make their food at home and bring it. Wow, that's very annoying to have at a get-together. But let's check the comments. Not the ass. They are 18 and 15, not little kids. They can be picky, you don't have to accommodate that. It's very annoying to have someone come into the kitchen and taking up space when you're cooking a big meal. They really had a third option as well: pack a frickin' sandwich and eat that. Takes zero kitchen space or accommodation. Fourth option: stuff your face before you get there. I have used this option many times over the years. My wife unreasonable for backing out of spending Christmas with my family after my mother rejected her cookie sample. Context: for every holiday, my mother would ask the women in the family, my sisters, sister-in-law, my wife, my female cousins, to send samples of the desserts they planned to bring to the celebration for testing and to see if these desserts could make it to the food menu. My wife has been complaining about my mother deliberately rejecting every dessert sample she sent. So many times my mother has told her that she's being honest and keeping the guest's best interest at heart. Yet my wife still thought that my mother is deliberately excluding her since 2 of her dessert samples were rejected before. For this year's Christmas my mother is doing the same thing, but this time she told every woman who are participating to make a cookie sample and send it to her for testing. My wife took it as a challenge, and to be honest, she worked really hard to make a good sample and sent it to my mother days ago, and the results just came in yesterday. I came home from work and found my wife upset. I asked what's wrong and she told me that my mother rejected the sample she sent and decided to exclude her baking from the food list menu for Christmas this year. I didn't know what to say, but she then told me she was backing out of the invitation to attend Christmas with my family. I was stunned when I heard her make this statement. I tried to talk to her, but she said it was done. I called her unreasonable to decide to bail on the whole family over some cookie sample. That's just freaking crazy and quite unreasonable. We had a full-on argument about it and she stated that my mother caused this, but I told her that my mother is pretty serious and careful about the food she offers to the guests since we are going to have relatives coming from all sides of country. She told me to stop mentioning it. Later I heard her cry despite telling her that her baking is amazing and people have preferences, that's all. Am I an ass for insisting that her decision was unreasonable? Info. If you're asking whose cookie sample made it to the menu, the answer is my sister and my 2 cousins. Info. Few things to put on here. 1. My wife wasn't the only one whose sample was rejected. We have SILs and my younger sister's point too. My mother did not force anyone to participate, it was up to whoever wanted to take part. Point 3. This is just about the dessert since my mother tends to be very careful in this category, but for other types of foods. Dishes, appetizers, salads, stuff like that is welcome, as she stated. Update. Great. So I just got off the phone with my brother and he told me that his wife is doing the same thing as my wife and that she has decided to back out of the invitation to spend Christmas with family as well. Turns out my wife must have told her about her decision and she decided to follow her lead. My brother is pissed, saying my wife is encouraging his wife to do this. I see that the problem has just gotten bigger now. Who knows, my younger sister might join in and decide not to go as well. I don't know how this got out of control so quickly. I guess we'll try to have a discussion with my mother about this soon and see how it goes. See, the thing I find weird is that they ask for sample for the guest's best interest. Like, what are they, a catering business or something? It's supposed to be fun holiday get together. Anyways, let's see what the comments say, so correct me I'm wrong. But for years and years your mother has demanded that all the women in your family send in samples. For years and years your wife has tried her hardest to appease your mother, had pushed herself to the limit, and has been left completely and utterly demoralized each and every time by a humiliating tradition enforced by the holiday tyrant. And, even worse, her shame was publicly put on display each and every year, as other family members would no doubt notice that, once again, her food was not chosen. Finally, after producing something she was unbelievably proud of, she was once again left embarrassed and most likely deeply hurt, as she was deemed not good enough for yet another year. This is the straw that broke the camel's back, and she decides she has had enough of her humiliation and that she will not give her cruel mother-in-law the satisfaction of seeing her discomfort on such a big day. She makes a boundary that many would have made a long time prior, and her husband tells her she is unreasonable for setting up boundaries. Dude, come on, you know you're the ass. It sounds like OP's mom only favors her children and, no doubt, the OP's maternal cousins with regards to dishes being picked each year. The OP's wife has never made the cut, and I would bet the OP's sister-in-law has never made cut either. OP, your mom clearly has favorites. Holidays meals are about sharing and togetherness, not channeling your inner jailhouse Martha Stewart prison warden over making the perfect spread. Your house is not a restaurant. Food doesn't have to be perfect or follow a theme. Frankly, it doesn't even have to be good, but its production should include everyone who wants to participate, not the chosen few. Your mom, as the hostess, should ensure that there is something for everyone to eat if there are dietary restrictions, religious restrictions, or just plain allergies. None of the rest of it is respectful to the women, to the men, to the guests, and it is not kind. That you and your siblings and cousins have tolerated this for as many years as you have. Especially when you and your brother sit back and watch your wives be demoralized and insulted for years and have not told your mother that this has to stop makes you the ass. That your mother continues this toxic tradition makes her a wife is entitled to have a peaceful holiday dinner where she is liked, valued, and cared about. None of those apparently happen at OP's mother's house or, apparently, at the OP's.
Subscribe and hit that bell for more Reddit content.